Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, friends. We just want to welcome you to our Anfasa annual general meeting today. It's the 8th of September, 2022. And we would like to start our meeting by observing a moment of silence. We all are aware that Monica Siba, who's the founder member of Anfasa, has passed on. So I would request that we observe a moment of silence. Thank you very much, colleagues, friends. We welcome all of you who are present today, and also a warm welcome from our colleagues from International Authors Forum. It is good to welcome you here in this AGM of ours. And we have arranged in 2020 that we host the AGM for International Authors Forum, but we are reviving that discussion, and Anfasa board has approved yesterday that we will host the AGM this year. We're just waiting to get more details on the date, but the venue will be in Cape Town, South Africa. So welcome to you, colleagues. And I see many of the people who are here. I see Professor Mark. It's good to see all of you. Today we have an agenda before us, welcoming and introductory remarks, and we will adopt the minutes. Then I give my chairperson's report, followed by the treasurer's report, and then we will have member discussions, and then the meeting will be adjourned. So I will just go through the minutes of Anfasa annual general meeting of 2021, which was on the 3rd of June. It was a virtual meeting on Zoom. I will go page by page. Let me start from page 1 to check if the information and the content is correct. We can even check the typos if there are any editorial amendments that we would like to do. Page 2. Page 2 is the final page for our minutes. I will now invite members to adopt the minutes as a true reflection of what transpired at that day for those who attended on June last year.
Yes, I can second that.
And can you just give us your name?
It's Heta Pieterse. I will second.
Okay. Thank you very much. I take it that people have read the minutes, and if there's anything that you want to raise from the minutes, you can just make a note so that when we have our discussions at item number 5, you'll bring some of the issues that you've picked out from our minutes. But without much further ado, I think we need to move on with the program, and I will invite the chair to stand. I'm just trying to open my computer. Who's sharing? Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sihle Kumalo. I'm one of the board members. For the purposes of this meeting, I'll strictly be chairing this third report, which is the chairman's report. And Professor Nkubane here will just be giving us an overview of what happened in the last financial year, as well as just looking forward to what might happen in the next couple of months. So over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Sihle. I welcome Anfasa members and guests to 2021-22 Annual General Meeting. You may know that this year's AGM is taking place 2 months later than the usual month of June. Usually we have our AGM around June. This is because of the internal challenges we have experienced in the last few months. Our founder and treasurer, Monica Siba, was hospitalized in mid-June and sadly passed away on the 19th July 2022. May her soul rest in eternal peace. Monica was the pillar of Anfasa and respected by many in the publishing industry. Her passing is a great loss to the creative industries, and Monica spent her life advocating for the recognition of authors and their rights. It was her dream to see authors making living through their writing, and she's been fighting for that all her life. At her passing, Monica was serving on the Anfasa board as treasurer and head of the Anfasa Copyright Committee. We, as the Anfasa board and staff, will honor Monica's memory by continuing to serve our members and all authors as she would have. Our newly appointed board member, Mr. Sihle Khumalo, sadly lost his mother in June. And in that same month, our long-serving board member, Mr. Winston Mohapi, lost his son. My heartfelt condolences to both of them, and may the soul of their loved one rest in peace. I would like to officially announce that amidst everything, Mr. Winston Mohapi is now our interim treasurer after Monica Siba's passing. It is our pleasure to announce that Professor Elizabeth Leroux has agreed to join the Anfasa board. We welcome Prof to the Anfasa board. Prof Leroux has been a long-standing member and has served on the AXA selection committee for many years. I would also like to congratulate our national coordinator, Samgelisiwe Mfupi, for passing her project management course with the University of Cape Town earlier this year. And we have seen the difference since she passed that course. She's got more confidence than before. Congratulations, Samgelisiwe. I'm glad that her efforts have been acknowledged and rewarded. The board continues to operate as a collective and share responsibilities to keep the organization alive under trying conditions. And I offer sincere thanks to my colleagues, Professor Kian Tomaseli, Mr. Winston Mohapi, Professor Beth Leroux, and Mr. Sihle Khumalo. Because of the long service members of the board, we can transition smoothly through personal challenges that would have otherwise disrupted our operations. I'm excited to announce that Anfasa has moved offices thanks to Lazarus Serobe, the MD at DARO. DARO is Dramatic, Artistic, and Literary Rights Organization. He has generously offered us office space free of charge in an upmarket office park in Bramley, Johannesburg. I'm very proud that today we are hosting this AGM in our new offices and new premises as Anfasa. We hope this year will be our last virtual AGM, and we'll resume our face-to-face meeting next year. And I'm also grateful that the majority of our members have joined us today. Welcome to all of you. We miss our regular seminars where we witness robust discussions and debates on issues that affect us as authors. However, we are proud of the vast online content created through our virtual workshops, and members can access all this quickly signing in on the Anfasa website. The website is www.anfasa.org.za. Despite our challenges, Anfasa continues to dedicate itself to promoting authors' rights and restoring confidence in our endeavors. We are committed to building a solid organization that ever existed in our land to support and uplift our society. We are especially proud to position ourselves as one of the leading drivers of encouraging authors to write and publish in indigenous languages. Plans for such initiatives will be shared with members in due course. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends and members, we continue to hold virtual meetings on the enhancement of authors and educational webinars. We hosted our second annual virtual international symposium, Power of Authors, on 12 May 2022, which looked at prominent South African authors' role in influencing change in our society. Power of Authors in an annual symposium, and it is a conversation among local and international authors who debate and speak about the crucial role authors play in bringing about change in society. This year, 2022, was the second symposium since its inception last year. I know that many of us did attend our inaugural symposium last year, and it was a huge success. And even this year's symposium was well attended, and the theme was the future written in history. We all feel the Power of Authors Symposium will become the Anfasa flagship. We also encourage more Anfasa members to join us in the forthcoming symposium next year. We are hoping that next year we can join it together with the IA International Authors Forum, AGM. We can have the symposium as a back-to-back during that period, once we have confirmed the date. You must just watch the space. Our national coordinator, Ms. Samgeli Siwe, commonly known as Samu Mfopi, will communicate the dates widely through our website. As usual, the response was overwhelming, invoking thought and exciting debates around the theme. I would especially like to thank our presenters, including academics and authors such as Dr. Bongani Nyoga and myself, Professor Ngubane, Hlomunga Sandile Ngiti, Lorato Trok, and David Wamahlamela, and also Mr. Sihle Kumalo, our board member, was also a speaker, Peter Schneider, and Lisa Combrink. We are now working on delivering another revitalizing seminar in 2022-23. The research on the public lending right is on with the assistance of the Anfasa subcommittee, which is led by Mr. Sihle Kumalo, and I wish him and the team well. And I also want to encourage people who are members of this team to work hand in hand with Mr. Sihle Kumalo. We have witnessed, I'm also a member of that committee, but we are less active, and I want to encourage colleagues who sit on the committee to be innovative in putting this program alive in South Africa. It has been successful for many years in other countries, and we would like to also make it work for South Africans. Let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, my report by thanking the board, who has worked tirelessly to enhance our organization, and they have sustained the organization for the past 18 years. We started in 2004, and we should be celebrating 18 years this year, which is a milestone for the organization. We have witnessed growth in membership through our efforts in sustaining the magazine. Thanks, Kian, for working on the magazine. AXA, thanks colleague Winston, Samu, and Beth. and online seminars. We have successfully built donor relationships, Department of Arts and Sports and Culture in promoting literary works in African indigenous languages. We are going around provinces running workshops on this project, New Literary Voices. We also convey our gratitude to our funders, the Norwegian Academic and Nonfiction Writers and Translations Associations, NFF, in Oslo, for their continued financial support, especially our dear friend who has now retired, Mr. Trond Andreasen. We have a new director in place to take over from Trond. Reinve, her name is Reinve. Yeah, Reinve. The Royal Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through its embassy in Pretoria, with a contribution from Sambro Foundation for providing Anfasa with financial resources thus far. I wish to encourage you all to continue writing books and take the advantages of that Anfasa provides its members. We need to canvass for more members to join Anfasa jointly. I wish you a prosperous year. Thank you very much, Chair.
Well, thank you for Vane for such a comprehensive report that just puts into perspective some of the key activities and events that took part during the past financial year. So if there are any questions or comments based on the report by the chairperson of the board, Professor Ngubane, you may raise them now, and then we can have a discussion. It could be a comment, could be a question, commendation, any other thing that you feel at this particular moment, mostly based on what is just mentioned on the events, key issues and challenges facing the organization. Are there any comments or questions so that he can handle it before I hand it back to him to continue chairing the meeting so that we can go to point number 4, which is the treasurer's report? Questions? Comments? Or was it so clear? Okay. I do not see any hands, so I take it there are no comments or questions. But again, there is still point number 5, AG members discussion. If there is anything that you still would like to raise at that particular moment, you may still raise it. At this point, I'll hand it back to Professor Ngubane to chair the AGM moving forward.
Thank you, colleague, for chairing this item. We will now move to item 4. We invite the treasurer, the interim treasurer, Mr. Winston Mohapi, to present his report. Over to you, Dr. Mohapi.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to welcome again all members of Anfasa and also the board members who played their role in accepting the financial report. But in particular, I would like to mention Samu, who was there with the auditor to understand and account on what the report, financial report, is all about. I will start my speech this way and say it is with great sadness that I should present you as the interim treasurer, the Anfasa annual financial statements for the year ending 31st March 2022, instead of our former Anfasa stalwart, Monica Stiba. She presented these statements over the years with confidence and pride. Be as it may, Anfasa has a duty to inform its members on the performance of the finances. According to the Anfasa Constitution, the management board is required to maintain adequate accounting records and is responsible for the content and integrity of the financial statement. The Anfasa Management Board has ensured that during the financial period, the finances have been securely implemented. There is also the independent engagement of the external auditor to follow every step undertaken in the usage of the finances. The annual financial statements were approved by the board on the 30th of June 2022 at the management meeting. Members will note that there has been a considerable increase in the membership. I think the chairperson alluded to this, in the membership fee, which augurs well for the existence of Anfasa despite the current pandemic. Anfasa still enjoys the trust of the Norwegian Academic and Non-Fiction Writers and Translators Association, the NFF, and the Royal Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs through its embassy in Pretoria, because this is good for its financial dependency as an NPO. But other financial avenues are being explored to augment and improve on the projects which will enhance the services for which Anfasa stands. With the pandemic gradually wearing off from the world, there will be an increase in financial support and better realization of Anfasa's aims and objectives. I would like to conclude by saying the financial statements have been sent to all members of Anfasa for them to study and to make recommendations, especially recommendations because we would like to improve the organization for betterment for all of us as members. I would like to thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhabi, for the presentation. I will now invite our members to have input on the report on the finances. I open the floor to members. You can raise your hand and then you'll be invited to make your comment. Anfasa. I don't see any hand. People have no appetite to talk to us this morning, but we want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Muhabi and also Samu for preparing our annual financial statements. And I think if there are no comments for now, we can still communicate our comments through emails, and if there's any input that our members have in our finances. But I want to commend the organization for keeping a clear record, which is an audited record for our finances. Thank you. We now move to item 5 of our agenda, the member discussions. Here we are looking forward to any ideas that will help the board. Sorry.
I'm saying they need to adopt the financial.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, before we move to item, thank you, Samu. Can we have a move for adoption of the financials? Mzwake Kulu, Kapashe. Thank you. Who else? We need two people to second
That's
the
okay.
adoption.
Seconding it,
One.
I'm seconding.
Prof. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof. So the financials have been approved. Thank you. Now, going back to item 5, where we invite discussions on how we can improve our operations, and if there are recommendations for new policies that we can adopt as Anfasa. Anfasa is always dedicated to empowering authors and authors' rights. I open the floor to members to say something. Oh, words of support from our international guests who are here and local guests. Thanasis, would you want to say something? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to find out from the members, which new things can they bring into Anfasa so that we can improve on our activities, particularly projects. We'd like to have more projects so that we can see ourselves going on very well from 2022 to 2023. Which projects do you think we can have? What do you think?
Prof. Nkubani and Dr. Mahapi, if you look at the chat, I was asking a question. I think it's PY Malinga.
Prof, I didn't hear you. I think the reception.
So I was just saying that if you look at the chat box, there's somebody who's asking a question. There's PY Malinga. He's asking a question on the chat box.
Okay. Okay, the question says, I would like to know what is the next step since I registered. Can you go back to the message? Yes, please. Registered after I got an invite to this meeting. What is the next step? The question is very, very ambiguous. I don't understand what you mean by registered, because once you have registered, then you join the meeting. Do you want to clarify, Bob Malinga, your question?
In the meantime, there's another chat.
Can we move to the next chat? Okay. Welcome to our international guest. Thank you, Heta. No, the other way around. Oh, there's something.
Yeah.
Just go. Okay. Are there other seminars or in-person meetings planned for the remainder of this year? Someone would you like to respond to that?
Okay, yes, we do have other activities planned for this year. We have the PhD thesis workshop which is a follow-up from the workshop we did last year. The workshop that we did last year is online, which is a workshop on how to turn your PhD into a thesis. And then the follow-up for this year would be a guideline, which will go together with the online workshop. And then we also have the business of the book seminar set up, which will take place together with the International Authors Forum AGM next year. And we also have the Power of Authors seminar as well, which will be implemented around. So the plan with the International Authors Forum AGM is that we couple most of our activities and seminars around that time, and we make it a week-long a series of conferences, talks, and engagement with authors on many issues that affect us in the country as well as internationally. But that program of events will be communicated way ahead with all of our members as well as interested parties. We are also in a process of a selection for our Anfasa grant scheme, which the closing date was in August. We're hoping that by November, the results will be out. So all of those who applied, please be on the lookout. But all of the applications received, everyone will be communicated with on a personal level to inform them of the outcome of the grant. Yeah, and as Prof has mentioned earlier, that we are also running provincial workshops through our projects with the Department of Arts and Culture, which is the New Literary Voices. So the aim after we've run these workshops is that people will be given time to go and write and finalize their manuscripts. And then they will submit them to Anfasa for a selection of being published into a book. So we are looking at publishing 5 books written in indigenous languages, which will be launched in April next year. So all of this information will be communicated through our various platforms, which is our social media, the bulletin that is sent out to members, as well as the websites. Thank you.
Thank you, Samu. I think we have adequately responded to that question. We will definitely get the invites through our website.
There was a question just before that. Just like that chat.
Can we move?
That one about what is our position on the book thing?
Okay. What is the, Rulani is asking, what is the position of the organization on the National Book Fair? We did not have a South African Book Fair this year. I'm sure colleagues are aware that the South African Book Development Council is no more in operation. So that is why we didn't have a SA Book Fair this year. So for this year, I think there is nothing that we can hope for. But I see Lisa, maybe Lisa from the department can explain something on the future of the South African Book Fair. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Lisa, but can you just comment on the status of the SA Book Fair?
Thank you, Chairperson. You brought me into this quite well, while I'm quite unaware, but thank you. Look, the South African Book Development, I think they disbanded on the basis that they said they were not a going concern. They said they were not getting, well, anyway, they blamed it on the department and said they were not getting funding. whereas to put the record straight, they were getting 4.5 million rands per annum from the department for their various programs. But I think despite that, they were subsidizing that with other support through the CETAs and other platforms. But then when they decided to disband, because the South African Book Fair had been their initiative, unfortunately, the South African Book Fair then also came to an abrupt end with the demise of the South African Book Development Council. I think the only thing that I can say right now is that the department has put something in place to, I suppose, begin again. There is a task team, or there is a committee that's been appointed by the department that consists of various individuals from writers' organizations, publishers, etc., to work on national book policy. As new approach will lead once more to a book development council. So I will be resuscitated, but I think also bear in mind they're doing too well. It had initially began as a kind of Cape Town book fair. It then took on this identity of being a South African book fair when the Open Book Festival in Cape Town seemed to have dominated. And that was when it moved up to Gauteng. So I think there's a lot of work that would also need to be done about reshaping way forward, or we're held in every province are not really occupying that space. South Africans, so to speak. But you know what, those are just my of the departmental approach, but also my personal views on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Although your line was not clear, but we could pick up the reasons why SAPTC was apparent. And I don't know whether what Rulani had in mind, or were you suggesting that Anfasa takes over the book fair? Because some of us from Anfasa were also members of SAPTC. Maybe in collaboration with the department, we could try and work out something if you give us the mandate to work on it.
Well, there's another question linked to that on the issues of the book fair. I see John is asking, why not build on the success of the Durban International Book Fair?
Why not? We could work on. That's what I was saying, that maybe if we are given a go-ahead as the board, we could explore on trying to work on the South African book fair, whatever name we want to label to the event. But I think what is important is to have the book festival and encourage South Africans to read books.
So can we take that as a consensus, dear members, that we are being given at least the mandate to explore,
Yes.
to explore the issue of either a book fair or piggyback on other existing book fairs, or a standalone book fair or on its own, and where it will be and all that? Am I getting that clear?
I see there's a hand, and can we allow those two hands to speak? One at a time, yes. English language.
Mind if I go first? Should I go first?
Yes, please, Nhlanhla.
Yeah, Prof. Ngubane, you put Lisa on the spot, and I'm sorry that I've got to push that because in her response, she referred to the South African book policy. And this is a battle that still has to be won. Many years ago, I was involved for quite a wide period of time with the South African Book Development Council, and we did our best with regard to the policy. And remember the last time we heard of it, those who've heard about it after I heard about it for the last time may come in here, was we worked with about 2 or 3 ministers. And the last time we had a workshop in PE, I think at the library there, and Minister Mashatil had just taken over as the minister. And he had no clue where the final proposer of the Development Council was. And we told him, look, it's on your desk. If you ever look at it, he said, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get in touch. And it's still tomorrow. And you can count historically how long it's been away. But it's something that perhaps Anfasa may take on as a follow-up to say what has happened, because we really spent a lot of time traveling across the country doing research and until we wrote that draft proposal. But I don't necessarily say that Lisa should respond on that one. But maybe if he's got the ear of the department, she might whisper to them that, look, the people are still waiting out there. Thanks.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much for that input. I think without putting Lisa on the spot, we will continue to explore the possibility of making a follow-up. Maybe we can have a conversation with Lisa Combrick outside our AGM to see how best we can try and resuscitate that process. Thank you, and
Chairperson, if I may just respond briefly, and I'm sorry I can't find the hand that I need to raise on my Zoom today.
Okay.
I will find it eventually. I just want to indicate that I'm attending this meeting today in my capacity as an Anfasa member. So I'm not attending on behalf of the department. I think in honor of, Monica Sieber and her contribution, I've decided to join the organization. But I'm willing to have a conversation with, with members, even if it's offline, on what I think needs to be done. I think we appreciate that lots of work has been done in the past, and that this draft policy has moved through 3 different ministries, so to speak. But I think a lot of work still needs to be done to really look at the 4th industrial revolution and book policy, and also to find ways in which the book policy can really strengthen writing in South Africa and the role of the author, despite whatever legislation may be in place. So with this whole performers, copyright bills and all that, we may need to try to find a way to strengthen the book policy we have all that we will have in order to address those matters. But I don't want to monopolize the conversation. I just thought I should clarify my role here today, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I do understand. You are here as our member, and welcome to Anfasa once again. There was also a second hand after Atlanta. Who? Estelle Netland. Estelle, you are muted. Can you unmute? Yes. Your audio is not clear, but we can see that you are talking, saying something. Okay. Maybe try later, Estelle, and see and check your audio if it works properly. Whilst we are discussing, we welcome our sister organization, Utana. This is Academic and Non-Fiction Authors Association in Uganda. I see Winnie Nakese has joined us. Welcome, Winnie. Michael Schut, welcome. And then I will invite Tatum Hape. You had your hand up.
The chair, what I wanted to say was just following what Professor Michael had said, but you have answered it that you'll have a meeting with Lisa and Professor Michael. And I think it's urgent that such a meeting should be arranged so that the matter of the book fair should be attended to as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what will happen, we will make a formal request for the meeting. Some will arrange the formal request, then we can take it from there. Any other? Smith? Michael?
Yes, hi there. Thank you, Chair. I did write it in the chat column, but just to say that I represent the Professional Journalists Association of South Africa, and we are a member organization of the Alliance of Language and Media Practitioners, which is shortened to LAMP. And just speaking as Progen, I'd be very interested in seeing a revival of a book fair, with Anfasa taking the lead on this, and we'd be happy to collaborate on helping that become a reality. And I'll talk to LAMP about that as well.
Thank you very much. We will welcome the collaboration. Any other comment or input?
We've got from the chats, we've got Mboniseni Ndlovu, who asked what are we doing regarding the issue of engaging government as far as public lending right is concerned. Just briefly, we have been finalizing, or we are finalizing the concept of the framework of public lending rights. And we felt it will be prudent that we only engage government once we've finalized the actual concept of framework. But that has not stopped us from engaging certain stakeholders, including the librarians. We've been engaging with librarians, and we felt it will be very important that we finalize the concept, and it must be solid before we take it through to government. I must also say that a vast majority of countries that have successfully implemented public lending right, they've done it because they've got a legislative framework. In other words, there is a piece of legislation that says, from this day onwards, those shall have a public lending right. Whereas in South Africa, we do not have that legislation as things stand. Some of you might even be aware that there is the Copyright Amendment Bill, which is currently on the table, and public lending right is not even mentioned on the current Copyright Amendment Bill. So those are some of the hurdles that we have to deal with, trying to implement a public lending rights system in South Africa when we do not have a legislative framework. And knowing full well that a vast majority of countries that have done it successfully, they've done it through the legislative framework. But indeed, Gajeni, we understand that at one stage or the other, we have to engage government. It's just that we have to finalize the concept document first.
Maybe, Sihle, can you explain how the public lending right works?
Briefly, this is briefly because a more comprehensive presentation was done in the last AGM. But in simple terms, a public lending right is when a member of the public goes to the library and loans or takes the book out, that certain monies accumulate specifically to that author. Bear in mind, as things stand, as an author, when you publish a book, the only time there's money accumulating to you is when there is a sale. When you are selling the book, a certain percentage obviously comes to you. And obviously, when that book goes to the library, people can take it in and out so many times over a period of time, but there is nothing that accumulates to the author. So the author only benefits once. Whereas through the public lending rights system, as and when people take the book out of the library, there's certain monies that accumulate to the author. So that is how most countries have done it, through a loan system. But there's also another system which is called the stock system. In other words, the mere fact that your book is in the library, even if nobody actually takes it out or loans it, there's monies that accumulate to the author. But the obvious question is, where does the money come from that eventually is being paid to the author? The money comes from central government. And in all the countries that have successfully implemented this system, as I said, that it is supported by government, and the vast majority of them have done it because there was a legislative framework. As I said, there is a piece of legislation that says you must implement this system. The only country that I'm aware of, by and large, that has been able to implement PLR without any legislative framework is Canada. And that is why it was such a good thing that in our last Power of Authors, we had Peter, who runs PLR in Canada, and he was able to tell us how they've managed to do this without necessarily having a legislative framework. So essentially, that is what PLR is all about. And we hope we should have the concept document finalized before the end of this month. And then members will also be able to access it through our website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sike. I will still invite people if they have input, only 2 people, so that we can close our meeting today. Any other comments from our members? Estelle, are you able to? Yes, can you unmute yourself and raise your question? Unmute yourself. Yeah. Or maybe you can write it on the chat box.
My hand is up, Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Prof.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on PRL, let's be careful that we don't slow down the process, because there are documents lying somewhere. We traveled around the country, meeting various stakeholders with Monica, and were supported by the National Librarian and Elisa van der Sand. Documents were ready for PRL, and I bet they have been submitted to the government in order to be considered when new legislation was amended with regard to copyright, but somehow it's been ignored, like many other documents that have been ignored. Lots of documents comprehensive documents were compiled based on research that was done across the world and countries that are akin to South Africa in terms of literary infrastructure. So let's push the process and then let it move. I'm talking late 90s, early 200s, when the whole process of PLR started. So let's push it so that we don't delay for another 10, 20 years and have the 10th minister dealing with this. Some of us, as Professor Hostile would say, are standing with one foot on a banana peel and the other one in the grave. So let's move fast.
I like that one. Thank you very much, Prof. I think Mr. Kumalo will follow up with you outside the meeting so that we can find those documents to assist us in trying to find our way forward. I know that Monica didn't like the concept of way forward, so I try to avoid that way forward concept, the jargon from our government or politicians. But we will definitely follow it up with you, Prof, and get hold of the document you are referring to.
Okay, we just have 2 issues on chats regarding PLR again. There is Julie, and he's asking, will the concept paper be circulated to members before approaching government? Yes, that is true. It will be circulated, that's for sure. And then Kia is asking, when will the board open a conference engagement with the University of Oslo? We want to enrich them as well. I'm not sure what the context is there, but when will the board open a conference engagement with the University of Oslo? It's Kia.
Kia, can you explain that to the meeting? Kia,
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I think earlier at the beginning of the meeting, you had explained that, we have these wonderful donors and they have a department that also looks at literature. Now, I just forgot the specific name, but earlier it had me thinking that it would actually be great to engage with that department and not just be receiving the funding and going about our lives, and I think that would also speak to the book conferences as well, and just do some international collaborations in that regard. Sorry, I'm a bit in a very noisy office, but I hope that it becomes, I've somehow clarified what I mean by a conference with the University of Oslo.
okay, thank you for that idea. I think it's noted because we are recording our proceedings for today. Then we will follow it up. Kumalo.
Yeah, there are two final issues on chat. The issue of copyright amendment bill from Rulani. He's asking, last week, the copyright amendment bill and performance bill go to Council of Provinces. What can we do in provinces to participate in consultations?
I'm sure Ken can respond to that question.
Well, yeah, this is, as we know, is an ongoing issue, which is not protecting copyright as far as authors' rights are concerned, but the Publishing Association of South Africa, together with the Copyright Coalition and all of the affiliates of those organizations, have been engaging over the last 10 days in a very comprehensive Twitter campaign and feeding short statements into the public domain to try to balance the discussion and to bring back some acknowledgement that IP issues are important. So there is a campaign being conducted at the moment. It does appear that the Recreate grouping is picking up on this and that they're responding. I haven't got the details, I haven't seen them yet, but I think that we can assume that the industry is taking this very seriously and is engaging at the level, at grassroots levels, not so much grassroots levels, but within constituencies that could shape the parliamentarian and the council's discussions.
Thank you, Kian. I think whilst Kian is on the platform, can you talk briefly about the magazine?
Okay, all right. The Anfasa magazine, as you know, was reinstated 2019. It's been a wonderful success in terms of not only attracting a huge readership, but also impacting debates within particularly the Department of Higher Education and Training, or bringing to their attention concerns amongst academics and graduate students and emergent scholars. The last 4 numbers were sponsored by the National Institute for Humanities and Social Sciences, which gave us the space and the resources to publish a number of articles by emergent scholars on supervision, on authorship, on writing theses, on getting published. And I think this has given them a kind of constituency, a kind of common space in which to discuss problems that are occurring across the country. Previously, authors thought that they were experiencing these difficulties alone, but now they realize that these are common, and this has given them some self-assurance that they have a place through which to talk. And we've also appointed Dr. Dudu Zwane, who is a UKZN and UJ graduate and member of Anfasa, as the co-editor. And she's bringing enormous energy and enthusiasm to bear on the editing process. So the next number is already finished. It's 16 pages long, and it will be distributed in mid-October. And of course, publishing 4 times a year, we're always looking for copy. So we invite articles, essays from anything from 500 words to 1,500 words on issues relating to authorship, publishing, copyright, legal matters, or anything in relation to the mandate that is Anfasa. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kian. We have now received a comment from Estelle Netler. I'll ask Sihle to read it.
Yeah, well, thanks, Chair. The comment is from Estelle is, I'm very grateful that Anfasa's award that was able to have Escape from Lubumbashi published. That's the book. The book was on the long list for the Sunday Times Literary Prize. I would like to encourage other members to take advantage of Anfasa's advice and support. So this is quite great. It shows that the work that we are doing, it's helpful on the ground, and we are very happy, Estelle, that you did not only just complete the book, but the book also made it into the Sunday Times Literary Prize, which is one of the prestigious prizes in South Africa. There's just no doubt about that. Well done, Estelle. Thank you.
Congratulations, Estelle. Yeah, so grateful. Thank you for reading the comment. Are there any other comments before we approach the adjournment of our meeting? We are booked until 11:30, but I can see people have no. Someone was sleeping. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? In the meantime, let me invite Samu to take us through the process of renewing our membership. Samu.
Thanks, Prof. Anfasa has different types of membership. We have a student membership, we have ordinary membership, we have associate membership, which is for organizations, and then we also have a lifetime membership. The student membership is renewable annually, and it's 75 rands. Ordinary membership also renewable annually, which is 200 rands. The associate membership for organization is 1,500 rands, and lifetime membership is also 1,500 rands. So if you are a member that wants to renew, usually you would get an invoice or a reminder, which is automatically sent to your email, which will prompt you to renew your membership. We have also made it easy for members to pay for their membership by having an online payment system that allows them to use their credit card to renew their membership or debit cards. But also we do still accept direct transfers, which each of the invoices sent to members include our Anfasa banking details. So that is the process of renewing your membership. But for those who have people that they want to recommend to join Anfasa, the easiest way for a new member to join the organization is to go via the Anfasa website and choose the membership they want to join under and fill in the application form.
Thank you, Samu, for explaining and giving clarity on how people can join. We are also looking forward to international members of Anfasa to join the organization. If there are no further comments, I will suggest that we adjourn our AGM, and I want to thank you very much for attending. But before the closing remarks, can we get the date and the venue of the next AGM? Ideally, we would like to have a face-to-face AGM next year, and we have alluded to the fact that we could also have our AGM during the IAF AGM, but it will be, we will keep it separate from that event. So where can we have our next AGM? Here in Johannesburg, or we want to go outside of Gauteng?
I think it entirely depends on funding. If we do get money, it would be ideal to go outside of Gauteng when we find a place where members could join in for a weekend of activities. But in terms of budget, it's always easier for us to bring in people from all over the country to come to Johannesburg. Usually what we do is offer members a travel stipend and ask them if they have family or friends in Gauteng that they can get accommodation from. But that will definitely depend on how much funding there is for that activity.
Thank you. So I think the final arrangement for the AGM will be communicated by the national coordinator to the members. There's a message. Thanks for an effective meeting, short and sweet. Brevity is the soul of wit. Shakespeare. Can you applaud to that? Yes.
Yeah, just to add on what Samuel said about the conference, when and where should it be?
The AGM.
AGM, sorry, the AGM. Usually we invite the members to suggest
Okay.
where they would like that the AGM should be seated in. Why? Because then we can be able to see how many of them are in a certain place, depending on the town or the towns around a certain area.
Thank you,
So
Tate.
we invite them to send suggestions of venues to some.
Thank you for raising that. I was reluctant to engage in that discussion because of Samu's disclaimer that it will depend on the funding. Yeah. So some people think we can go to Mpumalanga, to Western Cape, but we will still welcome suggestions on the venue, but we will communicate the date as soon as possible. We've been commended for keeping our AGM short. I just want to announce that at 12 we are commencing with Monica's memorial ceremony, which I invite you to join us at 12. So now we still have time for a break to grab coffee, and then at 12 we will be starting with the memorial service. From my side, I want to thank you very much for your attendance, and also, Samu.
Yes, I just wanted to say that please use the same link to join in the meeting and the Monica's memorial service. Will keep the meeting going. So for those who will not sign off, can still stay on, but the meeting will be kept going, and you can just simply sign in with the same link that we used for the AGM.
Thank you for that. To give us closing remarks, we will request Professor Beth Leroux to pass the concluding remarks. Prof.
Thanks so much. So I suppose this is a good opportunity for me to start to engage with some of you, as I'm the new kid on the block in terms of the board.
You're an infant.
Yeah. Although I have been involved in the AXA process as one of the judges for a number of years now, and it's been a great pleasure and honor to engage with the membership of Anfasa in this way. So in closing, I'd like to thank all of the board members for their reports, for their presentations, which I think summed up the activities over the past year very efficiently. I'd really like to thank all of you as members who attended the AGM, and thank you for your engagement, for the comments, for the support, and for the questions and ideas for future projects. I'd really like to encourage you to keep engaging with us through email, through meetings, support us through our events as well. And then just to echo the invitation to the memorial service, which we will be holding from 10 o'clock. So with that, from 12 o'clock, apologies. With that, I'd like to declare the meeting closed and to thank you all for your attendance. Until next year.
Thank you.